Hello, welcome. My name is Paul Chang. I'm the professor for this class. This is Religious Studies 135B, also History 130B, that is the history of modern Christianity. This is obviously our first YouTube lecture, and actually my first YouTube lecture ever. And I think I should start by addressing the unusual circumstances we're in, which is that we are doing this because of the coronavirus, an outbreak none of us have ever seen before, and kind of pandemic that almost no living person has ever experienced. So probably the first thing I'd really like to say is that it's really quite a privilege. I know things are different, but it's a privilege to be able to go through some things that are normal, that are routine, to make sure that your education is not interrupted, and to have a little bit of something normal in the midst of so much chaotic, unpredictable, and unknown. So welcome to the class. I hope you'll do your best to be patient with me, and I and the TA, my TA, Chris Hayes, will also do our best to be flexible, patient, understanding with you in these very kind of difficult and new times. This first lecture will cover the outline of this course. I'm going to be glancing over every once in a while at another computer I have here. It's just my syllabus online, which you all should have. It's probably best if you follow along with what I'm saying with the syllabus in hand or in front of you, if possible. If not, that's also fine, but you can reference the syllabus. The next lecture I'm going to post will be general instructions, general things I like to talk to my classes about. But this one will specifically be about this class, be about grading, be about the structure of the class. The next class I'll get a little bit more maybe philosophical and meta with you, if you will. So, all right, let's start it off. Why this class? Course description. Why take a class on the history of Christianity in the modern world? Besides the fact that I know you probably need the credits, or you're maybe you have some personal interest in Christianity, but even if you don't, even if you are, let's say, even if you are an agnostic or an atheist that's hostile to Christianity as an idea, that's perfectly fine. You are welcome in this class. I love reading atheists and agnostics that are hostile to Christianity. Some of my favorite authors actually are Marx and Freud and Nietzsche. But even still, I would suggest to you, to everybody, that to be a good citizen of the world, to know anything about this world, is to know something about Christianity. Christianity is currently the largest religion in the world. There are about 2 billion Christians, and the number is growing. So despite what you may think from our position here in North America, or a millennial or Gen Z kind of student in America, you may think Christianity is disappearing or is just being held onto by some old people. But actually, as a whole, Christianity is quite a young religion and growing rapidly. And that's because it's growing outside of America and outside of Western Europe, where there are many more people. Only a very small percentage of the world's people live in North America and Western Europe. And so for every young American who grew up Christian, let's say, or whose parents are Christian and no longer identifies as Christian, there are probably multiple young Chinese whose parents identified as atheist or agnostic, for instance, and are now Christian. So this is the world we live in. It's not going away. By demographic trends, Buddhism is slightly disappearing, is losing ground in the world. Atheism and agnosticism are also growing smaller. Islam is increasing, and Christianity is at least keeping pace with world population, probably growing, actually. So in the future, they predict in a few decades, 7 out of 10 people will be either Muslim or Christian. And all this is just to say, I'm just laying out some foundation for why Christianity is relevant, why we should think about Christianity in the modern world, how it came to take the shape it took. It will affect you even if you have no faith commitments whatsoever, because simply put, this is the world you will live in. You and your children, for the rest of your life, you will be living in a world that is more and more Christian, that has more, or has at least the same amount of Christians. Maybe right around you, maybe in your immediate circumstances, America will be possibly, maybe probably less Christian in the future, but the world as a whole will be equally Christian, and maybe more so. Okay, so then the format of this course, again, I wrote this in the syllabus. You may have already seen it. This is my first time teaching an online course. It's the first time, honestly, even seeing my face in the video and trying to record using some new software, all these kind of things. I've taught for a number of years now, and my TA has taught for quite a few years, but this is our first time. So like I said, let's all be patient with each other. Let's all be flexible. We'll do our best. And hopefully we'll all get educated together. You'll get the credits you need for this class. I will fulfill my requirements as a professor. We'll have a little bit of fun. We'll talk about some interesting things, and despite the new format. Okay. Then grading format. Grading format, the first thing, we'll just go in order. I'll talk about these four things that compose your grade, and we'll go about them in order. First is participation. So the participation grade is 20% of your grade. Reflection essays, another 20. Midterm paper, another 20. And then finally, your final paper, 40%. So that is the biggest single section. And so participation is the biggest. And I'll talk about that when we get there. How about let's do that. So the YouTube lecture. Obviously, if you have found this video, you know about the YouTube lecture. You have figured out how to find the channel. That's great. These lectures are not technically, required. I don't know how to check. Maybe if I figure out how to check who's watched them, I can make them required. But for now, I don't intend to make them required. You can watch them if you find them helpful. If you don't want to, you don't have to watch these particular YouTube lectures, but they should be helpful. I'll do my best not to go on and on at length, just to give you what you need to help break down the reading. It should honestly save you time versus having to read and reread and not understand what's going on. I will try to do my best to break it down for you in a way that you can understand. And if you don't, you'll have plenty of opportunities to give me feedback so I can improve my YouTube lectures. Like I said, I'm doing it for the first time. So second, the Zoom lecture / participation grade / office hours. Okay, so this is the meat of your participation grade, is we will be having a Zoom lecture, and that will be required for you all to come to. And the way it works is, I should say too, probably at the beginning, I'm recording this from my home. I have to. I'm not allowed to go to my office. I don't have a second home or another office or any quiet place to go to. I have 5 little children, school age and younger, from 10 to 1. So you may hear some shouting in the background. You may hear things happen sometimes on the YouTube lecture and on the Zoom lecture. This is another occasion for you in which I would ask for you to be patient and just understanding. If you hear some screams or screeches, probably everything is fine. We have not permanently damaged any of our children that we know of, but they are noisy. They do what they want to do, and it's hard to keep them quiet even when we tell them dad is working. So that's something to get out of the way. So the Zoom lecture, the way it works is every week you'll have a reading. I try to make the reading simple to understand, even if everyone has different page numbers because of different digital copies or paper copies. 1 chapter, okay? You'll be reading 1 chapter, maybe 2 in one case. I think a very short chapter. You read that chapter before the Zoom lecture, okay? So I'm going to post the reading online, at least for the first week. And then you'll read it. You'll get the books. We'll talk about that, but you'll get the books. You read them, and then when the Zoom, and I will also post 9 questions for every reading. Okay, so I'll post 1 through 9. They'll all be numbered, and you have been numbered. I've put each of you into like a group 1 through 9, and so you just answer the question that you're responsible for. Group 1 to group 1. You're responsible for reading the whole thing. Okay, you're responsible for reading the whole thing, but as far as answering me in Zoom lecture, the part I'm going to hold you accountable, that we'll meet face to face for 10 minutes with each group, is on Zoom, and I'll ask you that question. So for instance, week 1 will be on the Enlightenment, and I might have some question, what are some of the roots, the historical roots of the European Enlightenment, right? That might be group 1's question. And I'll ask you, and I'll give you a rough set of page numbers or section maybe, if the page numbers again are different. Give you a section, I'll tell you where to look, to focus, and then I'll ask you. I'll see all 9 of your faces in the Zoom lecture. It's required, again, that my TA will be on, Chris will be on the Zoom lecture, and he will be taking attendance. He will check who's there, make sure if they're on time, if they're late, or if they leave early. It's only 10 minutes, so please be on time. Don't leave early, just be there, okay? You can even be a couple minutes early. You'll be in on mute, and you can just watch your previous class, the previous group finish, and then go on. You can listen to them if you want. In fact, if you want to listen to the whole hour and a half, you're totally welcome to. That's another way some people like to learn. You're welcome to join us. But I will focus on group 1. I will know all 9 of the names. I'll have a list here, and I will hopefully learn your names, and I'll say, Jessica, all right, group 1. I haven't heard from you in a while. Tell me a little bit about the Enlightenment, the historical roots of the Enlightenment, and you and the class. So hopefully your group will have in the week, right? And during this week, you have this whole week, send emails to each other, call each other, do whatever it is. I'm forcing you to be social. I know you all want more human interaction anyway, right? We're all cooped up in our houses. So this is a good opportunity. Get to know the 8 or 9 or 10 people in your group. Send them emails. Say, okay, look, Professor Chang's going to grill us. He's going to ask us. I won't really grill you. I'll be very kind. I never make fun of anyone. I never, cause any, I'm do my best not to make anyone embarrassed. But I will ask you questions and I will call you out by name. I will know your names and call you out by name. And I will say, like I said, Jessica, Jessica Rivera, could you tell me, what did you think about this? And next week, I know Jessica talk. Okay, Sam, right? Sam Kim, tell me about, what your answer was. So you're responsible for that one question. You're responsible to show up to the Zoom lecture. Is that clear? So, yeah, and that's always on Tuesday. That's always on Tuesday from 12 to 1:30. And I've given you all a schedule. You just go according to schedule. Group 1, 12 to 12:10. Very simple. Group 2, 12:10 to 12:20. Again, some of these details may have to be worked out, but I think this should work. We'll see. We'll see. And we'll go through all 9, and I'll be taking notes while we're having our Zoom lecture. And I'll be writing down the answers that you give me to the questions. And that will become a study guide for all of you as you go forward in this class for your reflection papers and for your reflection papers, for your discussion sections, for your papers that you eventually have to write, your big papers, okay? So that's the Zoom lecture. That's part of the 20% in the grade. The other part of your 20% of your grade will be your discussion sections. So again, Chris will take note. He will announce when those are. He's going to create the Zoom. Again, sorry, we're doing it a little bit ad hoc, but the chancellor has told us to treat this as this first week as kind of a transition week, right? So we're all learning. And then Thursday, 12 to 1:30 will be my office hours. That'll just be my open office hours. I'll commit to being on Zoom. You all have the link. If you want to drop by, just say hi. Ask me about my kids. Ask me about Nietzsche, Freud, whatever. Ask me about whether God exists, or a specific question about the class, which is what it's obviously really for. You can ask me, and I will go over any questions you have about the essay, about the class, about the homework assignment, about the reading, anything like that. Okay, so next, book, okay? I've had issues in the past, so I want to make it mandatory that you all buy these books, okay? I know some of these books are very expensive and all this kind of stuff, but not my books. I've looked them up. Worst case, you can go to Amazon, you get them immediately. Just download the Kindle app and you will get the books immediately within like 2-3 minutes for $20, okay? For under $20 for both books. And we will be reading them extensively, okay? We will be reading hundreds of pages out of each of these books, and there's only 2 of them. So I do not want you not to have a book. I feel like you are shortchanging yourself, first of all, because you won't get as much out of the class. You're shortchanging your group members who are expecting you to contribute and work together to get these answers. And also, me, I don't want to sit there and stare at a bunch of faces who are like, well, none of us did the reading because none of us have the book. Just get the book. And I will check on 3rd week. Second week's reading, I will post online. I'll post it in just a bit. And so you can just download it and read it. I know I'm giving you a grace period, some time to figure out if you want to be in this class. If you're going to be in this class, by 3rd week, I'm going to check. And if you're adding after 3rd week, I will also check. Show me your book. Show me, the digital copies. All right, show me Disciples from Every Nation. Show me, Christianity, the first 3,000 years. Show me that you had them on your Kindle, on your phone, on your whatever. Prove to me somehow. Send me a screenshot. I don't know, but show me that you have the books. And then use the books, okay? Skim them, read them. Do what you need to do to participate in this class. You will get more out of it if you practice reading. And that's kind of the whole point. I'll talk about that a little in my next lecture about how reading and writing are part of what we're doing. So if you have the book, all right, this is the good part, right? If you have the book by 3rd week, very simple. If you spend the $20, which is really not that much money, if the money is an issue, you talk to me, okay? Send me an email, whatever. Maybe I'll give you a personal scholarship. But I don't think you should, $20 is really not asking that much for a college class, for all the materials for that class. Career counseling. You'll get 5 points extra credit if you get your book by 3rd week. Very simple. If you don't have your book, every week you don't have your book, I will deduct 5 points from your grade. Okay, and if you have it by 3rd week, 5 points easy. Another way to get 5 points, career counseling. I will talk about why I care so much about career counseling again in the next lecture. But for now, just know, if you go on the UCR website where I've shown you, careers.ucr.edu, go talk to a career counselor. I will give you also 5 points. All right, extra credit. And then lastly, so that covers participation. Oh, I have not talked about the reflection essay, right? So the next 20% is about the reflection essay. You are going to be writing a short reflection essay, 200 words every week, except week 1 and 5. I guess I didn't give you a deadline, but I guess we can say it should be done. The reflection essay should probably be turned in Monday. Well, I'll work on it. Maybe Friday the week before. So by this Friday, I'll post the reading right away. By this Friday, I'd like to have your reflection essay. By this Friday. And going forward, right? Week three's reflection essay by Friday of next week. Week four is by Friday of next week. So I can kind of see what you're thinking before I meet you all on Zoom. So that part of the reflection essay is for me to get your feedback, to see what you're understanding, what you're not understanding. All I'm looking for in the reflection essay is evidence that you've engaged with the text. Okay, look, I've been a teacher for a while. I can tell when you're just like blowing smoke, right? When you're just like, oh, it's really interesting. Christianity is a big religion, and there's a lot of people who believe in it and stuff. And when you've actually read the text, when you're saying like, okay, there's this weird passage, there's this part where he's talking about enlightenment. I don't even know what enlightenment is. That's great. If you are honest with me and just tell me where you're really at, I will know how to tailor my lectures. I will know how to tailor my class. I will deal with it. You can ask questions. You can also, if you do understand, you can bring in your own opinions. You can be like, well, when they start talking about the conflict of science and religion, I think it's like ridiculous, that whatever, religious people have problems with modern science. But don't mostly just give me your own opinions. Do those opinions in conjunction with the book. Show me how, like, okay, so this French bishop, he was a scientist and a Christian, but he ignored some of his findings because they didn't go along with the Bible. Something like that, right? Show me that you're actually reading the text. And like I said, that's what I'm going to be looking for. That's what I'm going to be looking for in your reflection essays. Just evidence that you've engaged. And it'll be graded probably very simple. Check minus, check plus. If you do a really good job, if you really show you're really engaging, doing the best you can, you'll get full credit, like 100%. If you just do it, and I show, okay, yeah, they checked the box, they did what they did, I'll probably give you like 90%. And then if I'm like, this person is not, it's not even 200 words, or they're not engaging the text at all, I can't tell whether this person has even read or barely has read this chapter, then, you get a check minus. Probably around like 70% or something like that. I want it to be a benefit to you. I don't want these reflection essays to be heavy. I want them in general to be graded very generously. But I want you to do them. I want, again, you to engage the text. I can't see you. We don't have a personal, I can't see you physically. This is all new, but I want you to engage. I want you to learn from this class. My basic philosophy, which I might talk about again a little in the next lecture, is this is a win-win kind of situation. I want my classes to be win-wins. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you win and I win. You win because you get educated, your brain gets more powerful, you get new ideas, new thoughts, new skills, and you get an A, right? Like that's what you want. You want to get a good grade in a class, in a college class. I win if you learn, if I push you. I feel like I'm not doing my job as an educator. I'm not doing that part of my job if I don't push you and I don't help you learn. So what I'm hoping at the end of this class is you all have good grades, but you also worked hard, right? That you can say, look, I got a good grade, but this was not an easy class. I put in the work. I read difficult texts. I wrote, I practiced my writing. My writing is better. My thinking is clearer. All those kind of things, right? Then we both win. I feel like I've done my job. You feel like you got what you wanted out of this class. Is that clear? So I would, the reflection essay is part of that. You're going to be getting some, feedback and evaluation. Or maybe not feedback, but at least check minus, check plus, or check, right? Do your best to really show I'm reading this text, I'm thinking about it, I'm really engaging with it. You can write more than 200 words if you need, but don't write huge essays. Be easy on Chris. You can usually say what you need to say in just a couple hundred words. I could summarize any of these chapters for you in easily less than a couple hundred words, okay? All right. So we got extra credit, we got the reflection essays, we got the participation grade, kind of going backwards. But last thing is the papers. And I will talk more about them when it's time for them. But right now, obviously it's 60% of your grade. I will talk more about why I think reading and writing is so important, why you're in this class, why I decided to do it this way. But it's pretty simple. You have midterm paper, 4 pages. Final paper can include the midterm, but will be 10 pages. So you write an additional 6. Okay, it's not that hard, but you will have to make it one cohesive essay, not just like slap 2 pieces of essays together. I will want one good essay arguing one thing. And the things I'm looking for, I will tell more about the details, but it's more or less a persuasive essay. I want you to persuade me to your point of view. I want you to imagine I'm a thoughtful person who holds a different perspective than you, right? And your essay will convince me to adopt your point of view or at least consider it. And again, I'll go over a little bit more in the next lecture why I think this is such an important exercise. In fact, I think it's at the heart of all education. and one of the most important things anybody can learn in any school. Okay. So I think that's basically it as far as the structure of this class. And then we'll just go through week by week. This first week, you're just going to meet me. Weeks 2 through 5, we will be working on this book, Diarmaid MacCulloch's book. MacCulloch's book is primarily Europe and America centered, North America centered, because in the period he's talking about, Christianity is mainly a European and North American religion. And then after that, we'll do Sana's book because primarily in the world today, as I've already suggested to you, Christianity is more and more an African, Asian, and South American thing. So it's less and less Europe and North America. So by the end, you'll have the whole world covered. You'll understand how Christianity took the very specific shape that it did, how it traveled all across the Europe all across the world, from Europe to North America to Africa, Asia, Latin America, all these places, basically in the modern period, in the period of Enlightenment to 2020. Okay. So that's it for our first lecture. Thanks for staying with me so long. And stick around for the next one.